Have you ever wondered what it took for mankind to take its first step on the moon? Picture a time of intense rivalry, a time when nations were engaged not only in a Cold War but a space race. A time when the world held its breath, their eyes turned towards the heavens, filled with anticipation, curiosity, and a dash of fear. This was the era when the Apollo 11 mission was conceived, a daring venture that promised to push the boundaries of human exploration. The year was 1961, and the United States, spurred by the audacious dream of President John F. Kennedy, committed to landing a man on the moon before the decade's end. It was a declaration that echoed around the globe, a challenge that stood as a testament to human courage and ingenuity. Join us as we journey back to 1969 to unravel the story behind mankind's first moon landing. It all began with a dream, a challenge set forth by President John F. Kennedy. A dream so audacious it was almost unthinkable. In May of 1961, Kennedy announced before a joint session of Congress that the United States would send a man to the moon and bring him safely back to Earth before the end of the decade. His words sent a wave of anticipation and awe across the nation and beyond. At this time, the U.S. space program was still in its infancy. The National Aeronautics and Space Administration, more commonly known as NASA, had been established just 3 years prior. Until Kennedy's announcement, the accomplishments of NASA had been notable but modest, with only a few space flights under its belt, none of which had ventured beyond Earth's orbit. But Kennedy's lunar mission was not just a scientific endeavor. It was a symbol of American ambition and prowess. The backdrop to this audacious dream was the Cold War, a time of tension and competition between the United States and the Soviet Union. The space race was a critical aspect of this competition, a peaceful battlefield where each side sought to prove its technological superiority. Kennedy's ambitious timeline added to the intensity of the challenge. He had set the goal to be achieved within the same decade, leaving less than 9 years to make the dream a reality. It was a daunting task to say the least, but the United States was ready to meet the challenge head-on. The nation's best and brightest minds were rallied, resources were poured into research and development, and the American public was captivated by the promise of a moon landing. The dream was not just Kennedy's, it was shared by the entire nation. And so began a race against time, a mission that was more about proving human capability than just landing on the moon. It was a testament to human courage and innovation, a journey that would forever change the way we perceive our place in the cosmos. A dream is just a dream until you start working on it, and boy did they work. Imagine this. You're Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, or Michael Collins. You've been handpicked to embark on the most daring journey mankind has ever attempted, a journey to the moon. But before you can take that giant leap, you must prepare. For Armstrong, Aldrin, and Collins, preparation meant grueling physical and mental training. They underwent simulations that mimicked every conceivable scenario they might encounter in space. From weightless exercises in underwater tanks to intense G-force training in centrifuges, they pushed their bodies to the edge. These men didn't just train their bodies, though. They also trained their minds. They studied the moon's geography and learned to handle spacecraft malfunctions. They rehearsed again and again the precise steps of their mission, down to the last detail. But the astronauts weren't the only ones preparing. Behind the scenes, scientists and engineers were working tirelessly to make the dream of moon landing a reality. They were building and testing the spacecraft, the Saturn V rocket, which was the most powerful vehicle ever made at that time. They were developing new technologies and overcoming complex challenges, all to ensure the safety and success of the mission. The lunar module, the vehicle that would carry Armstrong and Aldrin to the moon's surface, was a marvel of engineering. It was designed to function in the harsh lunar environment, with temperatures that could swing from freezing to boiling in a matter of minutes. The command module, where Collins would orbit the moon while his colleagues descended, was equally complex. It had to support life in the vacuum of space, provide communication with Earth, and withstand the fiery re-entry into Earth's atmosphere. All of these preparations were done under the watchful eyes of the world. The anticipation was palpable. The stakes were high. This was not just a mission for NASA or for America, but for all of humanity. With the astronauts ready and the spacecraft prepared, The world held its breath as the countdown began. 3, 2, 1, and liftoff. The journey of a lifetime had begun. With those words, the world held its breath as Apollo 11, the spacecraft carrying the hopes and dreams of an entire planet, left the confines of Earth. As the rocket's engines roared, pushing against gravity's relentless pull, the mission to land a man on the moon was underway. The journey that lay ahead was fraught with challenges and risks. It was a voyage into the unknown, a testament to human ingenuity and the indomitable spirit of exploration. The crew, astronauts Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins, were acutely aware of the dangers that lay ahead, but remained undeterred. Once the spacecraft broke free from Earth's gravitational pull, the vast expanse of space lay before them. The journey to the moon, 250,000 miles away, would take approximately 3 days. As they traveled further into the abyss, the risks became more apparent. The spacecraft had to follow a precise trajectory. Any deviation could result in missing the moon entirely or worse, being lost in space. The lunar module, aptly named Eagle, was their vehicle for descent onto the moon's surface. Separating from the command module Columbia, the Eagle began its perilous descent. The lunar surface, marred by countless meteor impacts, posed significant challenges. Neil Armstrong had to manually pilot the module, navigating the treacherous landscape to find a safe landing spot. The world watched in anticipation as Armstrong, with Aldrin by his side, guided the lunar module towards the moon's surface. It was a moment of high tension, of collective fear and hope. And then, the words that signaled success: "Houston, Tranquility Base here, the Eagle has landed." And then, on July 20th, 1969, history was made. The journey, filled with risks and challenges, had culminated in the greatest achievement of mankind. The moon, once a distant celestial body, had become mankind's first extraterrestrial outpost. The journey of Apollo 11 had not just changed the course of history, it had expanded the horizons of humanity's potential. That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. These immortal words uttered by Neil Armstrong marked the pinnacle of human achievement. On July 20th, 1969, as the world watched with bated breath, Armstrong stepped onto the moon's surface, forever changing the course of history. This was no ordinary terrain, but a desolate expanse of gray dust and rocks, untouched by human hands until that very moment. Armstrong, followed soon by Buzz Aldrin, took those first tentative steps, leaving behind footprints that represented not only their physical presence, but also the indomitable spirit of human exploration. They spent a total of 2.5 hours outside the spacecraft. In that time, they performed several tasks that had been meticulously planned and rehearsed. They planted the American flag, a symbolic gesture of the nation's achievement, yet it was a triumph that transcended national boundaries. This was a victory for all of mankind. But their work was not just ceremonial. In a world first, they conducted scientific experiments, deploying tools and instruments to study the moon's geology and magnetic field. They collected lunar samples, picking up rocks and dust to bring back home. These samples, weighing in at 47.5 pounds, would provide invaluable insights into the moon's composition and the history of our solar system. Every movement was careful, every action precise. They moved in a world where the familiar laws of physics seemed to have been rewritten, where a single leap could carry them yards across the lunar surface. It was a world of silence and stillness, a world of stark beauty and desolation. Yet, in the midst of this alien landscape, they felt a connection. Looking back at the distant blue sphere of Earth, they were reminded of their shared humanity, of the planet that they and we all call home. The mission was a success, but the journey was far from over. The astronauts had touched the moon, but the moon had also touched them, and through them, all of us. The moon landing was not an end, but a beginning, a stepping stone to the stars and beyond. With a successful moon landing, it was time to return home. The journey back was filled with anticipation and excitement. The astronauts, having achieved the seemingly impossible, were now ready to share their extraordinary experience with the world. The moment they set foot back on Earth, celebrations erupted worldwide. The Apollo 11 mission had a profound and lasting impact. It was more than just a scientific endeavor. It was a demonstration of the boundless potential of human will and ingenuity. It opened up a new realm of possibilities, triggering a surge in space exploration. It inspired countless individuals to dream big and reach for the stars. The legacy of Apollo 11 continues to resonate even today. It serves as a powerful reminder of what we can achieve when we dare to push beyond the known boundaries. The moon landing was not just a moment in history, it was the moment that defined history.